I'm Linda Elsiegood, founder of the LDN Research Trust. It has been my honour to interview LDN researchers, prescribers, pharmacists and patients from around the world for many conditions. Thank you for joining us.
This morning we're joined by Jane from Edinburgh, who takes LDN for ovarian cancer. Thank you for joining us, Jane.
Yes, good morning, Linda.
Could you tell us when you first discovered there was something wrong with you that led to the diagnosis?
Yes, it was very quick. I suddenly swelled up and my tummy swelled up, and I looked about 9 months pregnant in the space of about 10 days. And when I was finally admitted to hospital, I was sent home initially by a rather arrogant young man who insisted I had a bad diet and there was nothing wrong with me except constipation. But I was readmitted the following week, and they took 13 litres of fluid from my stomach, and then after scans discovered I had ovarian cancer.
It's a lot of fluid, isn't it?
Yes, it was. It was a lot of fluid. It was extremely uncomfortable.
Mm.
And then it was about another 6 weeks before they started chemotherapy, which I hated. Had a very bad reaction to the initial dosages, and they had to withdraw one of the chemotherapy drugs because of that. I then continued on a lower dose of one of the drugs only for 3 months. And by that time, the tumours had shrunk sufficiently for them to do fairly major surgery in May last year. After the surgery, I made a very good recovery. They felt they'd got everything, and I had another further 2 doses of chemotherapy finishing in July last year. I then started taking LDN about 3 weeks after I'd finished the chemotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously starting on a very low dose for 0.5 ml to start with and working up. And I now take 4.5 ml daily.
Mm-hmm. And how has the LDN made you feel, Jane?
Really, I think initially I took it at night, and I did have a few disturbed nights. So I rang the person who supplies it to me, the doctor in Glasgow, and he advised taking it in the morning and said there was really no difference. Mm-hmm. And ever since taking it in the morning, I've had no effects, no bad effects at all.
Mm-hmm. Have you had any negative, positive effects?
Well, I'm hoping so. For ovarian cancer, they do a blood test called a CA-125. Now, the normal range is below 35. When I was diagnosed, mine was nearly 4,000.
Oh.
And after treatment, it went down to about 11. Now, in October, it had gone up a little bit to 19. And then at Christmas, I received the rather disturbing news that it was up at 65, and then the following week, 70. Now, the oncologist firmly believed that the upward trend would continue. However, I had a further test in April, and it had actually reduced by 20%. So I don't know what it is at the moment. I'm hoping the downward trend will continue. But I'm very optimistic that this might be due to the LDN. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I say obviously, but until they have scientific proof, the consultants tend to be a little skeptical about LDN, but I believe in it very firmly, and I'm really looking forward to the article coming out, so there is more evidence for me to take along to my next appointment. Mm-hmm. My oncologist was certainly very surprised that it had reduced by 20%. Oh. That just wasn't, it was most unusual.
Well, since he thought it was going to keep increasing, even to have had it stabilised would have been good news, but to have it reduced by 20%, is quite phenomenal, isn't it?
It's really very positive, and I'll have it tested again, and they do it about every 3 months. I don't want to do it all the time because you can get too hung up on these things. It's like going on a diet, losing 1 pound, putting 2 on. Okay. But I'm a firm believer in it. I first heard about it about 4 years ago from a friend whose daughter takes it for MS. And she happened to mention at that time that she'd heard it also was very good for cancer. Mm-hmm. And I had indeed recommended it or mentioned it to a few other people, but unfortunately there isn't, or certainly at that time, there wasn't a lot of information, and a lot of people are very conservative and really don't go against anything that if it's not suggested or recommended by their doctor, they're not interested.
Yes.
I come from a medical family, and I ask questions about everything. So anyway, it was thanks to this friend. Otherwise, I would probably never have heard about it. So I'm extremely grateful.
And we know that by boosting your endorphins, it's your body's own natural feel-good factor. Would you say that it's improved your mood taking LDN, or are you?
Yes, I've certainly, again, almost to an amusing extent, my oncologist kept saying to me, now it's very common for you to be depressed, and I was saying, well, yes, okay, but I'm not. And I haven't been at all. I mean, naturally, I'm sad, and I sometimes get cross with this disease because it's a particularly unpleasant one and a silent one. But I talk about it because I want other people to be aware that there are other things you can do, and when you're sitting there having your chemotherapy, I find most people are just say, well, this is like my second home now, and I say, well, there are other things out there. And I do find the majority of people are closed. They're quite interested to know how I'm getting on, but they're actually not prepared to try anything else themselves.
Oh, that's sad.
Yes, it is. And I do feel it's because it's not yet recognized by the medical profession at large. And I do hope that this new evidence that's coming out is going to help to change that.
I certainly hope so. And thank you very much for sharing your story with us, Jane. It would be good to do a follow-up maybe next year and see how you're getting on.
Yes, that would be lovely. Very happy, and good luck with everything.
Do you have LDN experience to share? If so, please email me, linda@ldnrt.org. I look forward to hearing from you.